right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are in game 6. I had to do a second there. It is currently 4-1 Quantic versus Root in this best of 9. And it looks like puCK has actually interacted with this guy before. We were talking about maybe he's never seen him, but I guess we were wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, spotted here in the top left corner of the map, playing for Root Gaming, but I also want to point out, is currently one of the contestants in StarCraft 2 Survivors. It is puCK, the Red Protoss.
I love a little bit of banter. I love it. It's funny because puCK doesn't actually... puCK's one of the few players at the Root House that does not play on the Korean ladder at all. So he spawned in the middle of the map. Oh, man. This Zerg, Gamja, from Quantic Gaming. Apparently, we found out he's a CJ Entis trainee.
Former, I guess.
Prior? Former. Pretty crazy, to be honest. So we don't actually have any idea how good he is. But if that team name doesn't ring any bells, of course, that is one of the really good Kespa teams.
I'd say they're okay.
Top in Korea, you could say something along those lines.
Take him or leave him. I mean,
if he practices with them, goodness knows what could happen. But puCK.
Well, you know, there are some and this is worth pointing out to people who are the more casual StarCraft viewers, there are very different styles for each server. And as Nathaniel's pointed out, puCK will often be seen streaming on North America, on Europe, but rarely Korea. And Korea, the metagames, while I'm sure the ZVP isn't so standardly different that you're like, well, it's a completely different game, there's subtle nuances like timings on hits, +1 weapons, etc. that maybe, just maybe, I don't know whether it'll go well for gamja or puCK, but hey, both players have got that advantage of being unknown to one another, at least in recent days.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, though, when it comes to metagaming and knowing what the other guy will do, because puCK hasn't seen Gamja play any games in this match. He had a bit of an edge, at the very least, knowing how...
Venus played, yeah.
Yeah, how Venus played. So his name just somehow eluded me for a second there after we just cast, like, 8 of his games.
Yeah. Well, actually, I want to point out, puCK, the way he's opening right now, I almost feel like he's playing against the Terran. I mean, just through the build positioning, through the gas timings. I mean, this isn't anything crazy out of the ordinary, but I'm really curious what he has in store for Whirlwind. It's a big map, and it's not easy to get proxy pylons up on this map. Yeah.
You know, that's a great point. The map is so freaking huge. I kind of like that puCK's opened up with the gateway. It feels weird. I'll be honest, a lot of players like the Nexus first or whatnot because this map is huge. Taking a third base is considered to be damn near impossible. But you know what? Very importantly, Gamja did not scout the center of the map. puCK claimed in the beginning of this game that he spawned in the middle of the map. So I don't know if he's ever going to find him. Those overlords are only checking the top and bottom.
If this were Cats playing, I guarantee you there'd be a hatchery in the middle of the map after stating something like that, though. I mean, the Root guys are awesome like that. But puCK, I think he knows the amount of pressure on his shoulders right now, the burden he has to bear. 4 teammates knocked out prior to this. Succeed, State, Cats, and Minigun have all fallen to Quantic Gaming. puCK has... it's not the pressure of trying to win, but the pressure of not losing. And it's a very scary thing.
Yeah. It's just the matchup difference, though, I think, is going to really help puCK out. Because it's just honestly just one of his statistically better matchups. I think statistically, PVZ is puCK's best, as far as I know, at least.
Well, not only even statistically, mentally. I mean, we already knew coming into this, puCK was moaning and groaning about a PvP. That's a game that he won decisively while being grumpy about it. If he comes into a PvZ and he's already happy, just mentally going into this, he's in a much better position opening up the game. And it sounds cheesy, it sounds new agey, and it sounds silly, but if you guys talk to any pro players, they'll tell you pretty much, maybe in a better sounding way, what I just said. Indeed.
Gamja's going for a third base. How do you feel about the Speedling opening? He's not really done any kind of aggression. He just kind of has speed. I guess it's good for taking out any kind of early proxy pylons, but...
I think it's kind of like Warp Gate. Like, you're going to have it. There's a couple, very few builds that involve skipping speed, of course, but most of those end up being like Roach all-ins, and if you're going for a third base, usually you're not going for like a 2-base Roach all-in.
Yeah.
But
you know what is interesting, though? puCK's had 2 guys mining on gas for his main. He's actually taking the gas in his natural, but he's gone for a 2-base 4-gateway setup before anything like a Forge, before a Robo or a Stargate, which honestly makes me feel like puCK it's weird because the gases in the natural make it seem like he doesn't want to be aggressive with the gateways, and he wasn't able to get a pylon out on the map. Obviously, there's no probe anywhere near
look
that.
at this ling control, just patrolling everywhere, watchtower included. I mean,
exactly. He can't put on any pressure at all right now. He'd have to cross the map with whatever he has, and then he wouldn't be able to warp in reinforcements.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, puCK again. Every Protoss player in the world can comfortably play off 2 bases if necessary. You said earlier it's difficult to maintain a third. That's the truth of it, but again, if you're not planning to go for a third, well, then it's not that big of a problem.
Yeah, apparently not. Looking in the main base, 2 speedlings do run by. They see 4 gateways on the way for puCK. There's a 5th one tucked away in the main mineral line. He'll see that too. He knows there's going to be an 8 gate coming from puCK. He's got all the information in front of him, and I feel like we're going to see potentially a lot of spine crawlers go down, or he could maybe even just dedicate the rest of his production in just pure roaches.
puCK actually canceled one of the gates. And it's weird to say because the 7 gate is still a heavy dedication, but taking the 3rd behind this goes from an all-in to being actually a really defensive setup. Like, I love how Protoss work like that. Terran, Zerg, it's either an all-in or it's not. But Protoss are like, you know what? Yeah, I'll build one less building. It's no longer an all-in.
Yeah, he even takes a 3rd. I love it. Mind games. And we have a lot of unit production for gamja.
Oh, but the ling control again comes up here and scouts this.
Yeah, you know what? There's been a severe lack of successful mind gaming from Root. We had Succeed try to do the cancel on the Stargate into the Twilight. Immediately spotted. puCK tries to take 3rd base. Pretty quickly spotted. Also nice, gamja didn't invest anything into any static defense like spine crawlers, I guess I'd like to say. But he does have saturation on 3 bases, which means if he wants to, he could just try to mass up units and shut this base down. Which could potentially work. puCK doesn't have any upgrades at all, too. Very important to note. No +1 for anything like Zealot play.
Yeah, he's already warping the Zealot. Doesn't want to be caught off guard. So many times that happens to the best Protoss players. You've got that hole in your natural open, and you can lose to speedlings. Okay, pylon not going to be taken out. Going to chase off the lings for the time being. 3rd base still standing, which is a really key point. No cannons or anything here to defend it, so puCK does have to be careful. He doesn't ignore this. The lings are a big distraction as the roaches come across the left side of the field.
Yeah, there's so many roaches. puCK does not have any idea that this is coming. puCK's blink is halfway done. But
so focused on these lings. And he needs to be at the top of the ramp. He needs those force fields, but it's not.
Well, here come the roaches. Zealots are here. Only 2 of them. A 3rd one just being now warped in. You could try to go for these pylons, and honestly, you could actually supply.
Oh, some good force fields could catch half these roaches.
What? Yeah, managed to grab 3 of them. You know what? Something for, I guess, energy, not necessarily nothing, but
something
everything that
nothing.
puCK picks off. Everything puCK picks off is important here.
I think that's like a Warcraft 2 cheat code, too. If any of the nerds out there want to confirm for me, I don't know, but
that was a Brood War cheat, I'm pretty sure.
Brood War was a Blizzard game cheat, man. I remember playing a single player being that cheater guy. He'd be like, all right, I'm fed up with this mission. Power overwhelming. It is a good day to die.
Black sheep wall. Get to see everything, man. But gamja's got a lot of units here. This big roach link push. It looks like he wants to force his hand.
puCK's not overreacting, but he's also perhaps not reacting enough. The Zealot in the main will go down if he's not careful. Roach is still posturing around. They don't know where it's safe. And puCK, if he can get a good force field on this ramp, keeps the roaches out, should be able to take out all of these lings and then clean up the roaches after. Oh, force fields are so good, and puCKs are even better.
Yeah, puCK is actually playing this very well. Roaches, though, they're just going to swell off into the main base. That wasn't overcharge of the sentries, though. Cannot break it.
And if puCK does this right, he catches some more. Only catches 2. Could have been bigger, but still not bad. Holds this, which is the primary thing here. His 3rd base still mining, left untouched by the roaches so far.
Well, gamja's really just been trying to bait puCK down the ramp so that the force fields don't have as much of an impact. He wants to bait him into the open, force him to use all of the sentry energy. But puCK's been so patient, not really giving in to this temptation to run in and defend the main base. And now we have a 3-base Protoss saturated versus a saturated 3-base Zerg. What does gamja do? He's got to take a 4th base. The hatchery is queued up, but
well, he does have upgrades going
puCK's got all the cards in his hand right now. Double Forge is on the way to try to equalize those upgrades.
Yeah. You know, you talk about the calmness and the non-overreaction to puCK, and I think that is the coolest, most respectable thing about this game. Even if puCK were to lose, the fact like every other player would have swarmed into the natural to save from that big hit, he stayed at the 3rd calmly and just waited for the force fields. And I think if he can keep that composure, he can absolutely pull off a victory in this game.
Yeah, now he's got the blink. He has the mothership core with enough energy to recall if necessary. And this is where puCK says, hey, I've got so many force fields available, I can block your roaches out and then pick off a base.
16 sentries, all with almost full energy.
Yeah, but here come the Hydralisks. And this is where
Yes.
things get a little bit frisky. The Hydras have movement speed upgrade. They do not have the range upgrade. So I feel like that's honestly going to help puCK more. If fighting on creep, the speed upgrade almost means nothing. I actually don't only think it boosts movement speed off of creep anyway. So gamja doesn't have the range to shoot over the force fields, but puCK...
And with infinite force fields, essentially, puCK could segment, like, these Hydras might be scary on mass, but if he can just cut them in half again and again and again, his Stalkers will prevail. He's got Blink, so he can keep them alive longer. He doesn't necessarily have to face smash his way into his Zerg opponent.
Yeah, and he's maxed out on pretty much Stalker Sentry versus Roachling Hydra. And here we go, trying to get the
Beautiful
spread.
force fields all around.
Yeah, force field so much of the army, time warping the right side of those units, and puCK's getting the damage done that he needs to do. The Militia Core will get picked off. There's no turning back now, but puCK is not worried about that. These force fields have been immaculate. There's so many of these Stalkers are
And
still
they're
alive.
still
The
coming.
one
There's
is on
still
the way as well.
so many Flood Energy Sentries behind this, too. This isn't it. Gamja has got to hold this, and it's not going to be easy. puCK lost almost nothing in that engagement. If you guys watch the supply, it dipped for our Zerg player, but not really for puCK. Couple cannons here. The third should be able to deter this. I don't know if it'll stop it, but the scary thing for puCK is he can't really afford to warp in. He's got to kind of just continue with his forward assaults.
Yeah, and actually, while he moves in trying to defend that third base, they do pick off the majority of the sentries in this army, but will it be enough? The supply is still so very close. The Hydra's
but look
not
at
able
that
to
blink
shoot over
micro.
those force fields. Doing that blink micro, like you say, the Roaches have taken out the cannons. puCK has to warp in 6 Zealots to defend. A decent number of the probes have been shoot away here. puCK needs to do critical damage now. Moving into the third base of gamja, only has these
but with this
Stalkers.
choke.
There's barely any force fields left.
Yeah, the Lings can't even get up this ramp. He'll get both of these hatcheries if he wants to, but he's going for the drones instead. I like that choice. If he can snipe off the Hydra Den, that's really going to kill the production of gamja, as he is relying heavily on these Hydras to deal with the gateway units of puCK. But puCK actually chooses to leave it. I guess, okay, he's got no energies, no more force fields. Not going to risk it.
Yeah, it's not worth losing the whole army, especially with the damage he took. Actually, there's a Roach with
Awkward
Burrow
Hydra.
Micro being used at that third.
Oh, man. puCK's still heavy on the front lines, though. These Lings are going to get caught. Blink forward once again, and gamja, you know, he had the upgraded advantage for a while, but now it's 1-1 for puCK. He's coming up on 2-2. I mean, right now, gamja... The one thing he did, he cleared out those sentries. There's no longer 50 sentries on the field.
Yeah, very, very important to note. There's not as many force field Stalkers, though. In this situation, they're okay. Head to head in low numbers, Hydra DPS is very good, but this is kind of neat from puCK, and puCK's getting more cannons up at the third base, so that won't be as much of an issue anymore. This fourth hatchery for gamja is going to fall, but right now gamja's just taking out the reinforcement pylons. There's still 1 or 2 more out here on the map, but
Well, the other thing
I gotta
too,
say I like
if
puCK's position.
If puCK didn't have Blink, I would honestly say the Zerg army could take this army on pretty decently, but as we saw back there, that Blink micro keeping half the Stalkers alive when they should have died. Consider that for a moment, guys. That's like 40 supply you save with a little bit of micro.
Yeah, you know what's really weird? puCK is the player in this game that is remaxing like the Zerg.
Yeah.
puCK maxed out so fast. There's so many of these Stalkers, and it's weird to say that they're cheap, but compared to what puCK would what a Protoss would normally have, either Colossi or Archons, they are relatively inexpensive. The Zealot does get put there to block those links. No run-bys. gamja really hasn't been able to put on any significant amounts of pressure. puCK's been holding on so well, and gamja's still stuck on 3 bases as puCK looks to take a 4th.
And this is kind of awkward, though. puCK's forced to stay in this typical Protoss death ball. He can't really split up his army. He can't go for those hits. And he can't warp in anything offensively to go behind enemy lines. And he's going to take this fight head on. Immediately blinking a ton of these Stalkers back. Nice force fields go down, but the Hydra's coming in from the left side. I still don't think it's going to be enough.
There's only a few force fields left. The Stalkers are blinking back, like you said. puCK warps in reinforcements from the left side. These Zealots
He's
are
got
going to
2-2.
in. gamja's supply dropping heavily. The Stalkers with the offensive
Oh, he
blink.
burrows. There's no
You know
detection.
what? They're stuck. I think puCK just needs to keep his army there. There's an observer on the field. It's going to make its way over, and all these Hydralisks are as good as dead.
You know, Nathaniel.
Reinforcements, though. I don't know. These Hydras are dead.
Well, that, and on top of this, like, 2-2 kicked in at the perfect time there for puCK. Like, that was just enough for him to annihilate his opponent. I mean, 2-2 is coming out for our Zerg player, but it's melee upgrades. It's not ranged upgrades.
Yeah, well, yeah, there he goes. Just says
Wow.
GL. Taps out puCK. He wants it. He wants it bad.
I've got a lot of my faith in this guy, Nathaniel. Not only is he someone I'm very much a fan of, But again, Root's got to come back, get us to that 9th game, if at all possible. But that's going to make the score 4-2, guys. And I see a lot of you have joined us. I'm guessing the Hong Kong esports event may have finished up. But either way, thank you for tuning in to support Quantic Gaming and Root. Again, this is kind of a North American-based show match for North American viewers. Even if you're not from North America, you're still tuning in. You're still very much appreciated. Trust me. But Fog will be coming up next. We'll find out the map in just a moment. We're going to run another set of ads, so please don't go anywhere. As map choices. Oh, well, here, I'll recap for you guys before I run the ads. What's left is, what I think, Newkirk. No, Zephyr, Derelict, Red City. So 2 known maps and 1 wild card are all that's left on the map pool, guys.
Yeah. It's coming down to the wire here. puCK is. I wonder if we're actually going to see a game on Zephyr.
I would love to see a game on Zephyr Jungle. It's an odd map. It's a map that I guarantee you none of these guys have played on before. And just like every single base trade TV show match or clan war we've done, we love throwing in a wild card just in case. But looks like Fog is going to pick a more standard map. Go with Derelict.
Yep. Have you seen a game played on Zephyr? I don't actually know anything at all about the map.
I've casted a couple. It's nothing crazy. He was supposed to take out the rocks, but if he hasn't, the one big drawback to that map is there's a second entrance to the main with rocks. But other than that, it's actually a really solid map. And everyone I've talked to that I've had play on it, so like I'm talking like Happy Zurich, Straylock, Ronsky, and them, it's like, hey, the map's good except for that one thing, the rocks. So the guy was supposed to take those out. I have no idea if he has, but we're like, hey, we need a wildcard map. Let's just go with it. It's a base trade TV map, so it worked out perfect.
Fair enough.
Where is gamja? There we go. So it's yeah, with Derelict being picked, guys, the only 2 maps left at this point are Red City and an unknown wildcard map. Let's get gamja. Stoji.